Elaine's dad and her mother as children were dodging the Japanese in the Japanese invasion of mainland China in the 30s. And then as they grew older, they were running from the communists. As the communists took over China, they escaped to Taiwan.
They found each other and got married and started a family. My mother was 7 months pregnant with their third child when news came that my father had gotten permission to immigrate abroad. It took him 3 years before he was able to bring my sisters, me, and my mother to America. I started out with very humble goals. When my family and I arrived in America, our goal was simply to survive. And my goal was to go to college and, upon graduation, get an apartment of my own.
Elaine Chao attended Mount Holyoke College and Harvard Business School, where she excelled in finance. After working in international banking for several years, she applied to become a White House Fellow.
I think my first interactions were when she came to be interviewed to serve as a White House Fellow. And I was very impressed. A very bright individual, great interpersonal skills, and dedicated to excellence. One day, our maritime administrator brought his brand new deputy administrator in, and it was Elaine Chao. I noticed her for all the reasons that you would expect a young guy to notice Elaine Chao. In working together, I quickly noticed that she had a special quality to her.
And she got on the radar screen pretty quickly as someone that I should be paying attention to.
It didn't surprise me very much. It kind of delighted me, in fact, when I discovered that our Deputy Secretary of Transportation was going to be Elaine Chao. And it was clear that she was going to have a big future.
The end of the Cold War has provided an opening for the Peace Corps in vast new territories in Eastern Europe and Central Asia, where after years of isolation, the new leaders are urgently calling for help. Ms. Chao was appointed to the job last October as the Bush administration began to rethink the role of the Peace Corps in the New World Order.
In the former Soviet Union, you had a lot of people who were very well educated, and he brought someone in who I think saw the Peace Corps as a very, very valuable, not a short-term foreign policy institution, but one that could make a lasting impression.
But we needed the Peace Corps volunteers to be able to share new skills in a new kind of economy to people who had been used to a state-controlled economy.
We're going to make another projection now. We project that Bill Clinton is going to be the next president of the United States. We project that Ohio has gone for Governor Clinton. Let's take a look at the
How badly, Ms. Chao, did the 1992 scandal over your predecessor and his use and misuse of funds hurt fundraising?
Elaine didn't apply for the job, but they had a national search and decided to come ask her if she wanted to do it. And one of her many remarkable accomplishments was to turn around United Way, restore its reputation.
And so what Elaine did was put in place the mechanisms that we've continued to build on to create more accountability, more transparency, which creates trust, which then allows an organization like United Way to more effectively deal with human issues.
It had to have credibility, and of course, history will show that that's exactly what she did. So United Way is back on its feet, and thanks to her leadership, a success story again. And she called me up that morning and said that they wanted to make sure she was available for a call from the president. And it turned out it was the cabinet. I remember proudly watching the president announce her appointment, and it was a genuine, exciting moment for our family.
Thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to be with you here today. I'm honored to be accompanied today by the two senators from my home state of Kentucky, Senator Mitch McConnell, with whom I'm moderately acquainted.
I was the one who whispered into the president's ear at that classroom down in Sarasota, Florida, and told him that America was under attack. I remember probably most dramatically September 14th, 2001. And I remember him talking specifically to Secretary Chao about the obligations for the labor force. and what had to be done to make sure that America could stay at work.
And she just had this balanced, quiet competency that she knew what she believed in and stood for, and her principles. But she was also understood how you had to work with other people and listen to others to get something done.
It wasn't too long after 9/11. The economy was still very much on its knees. There was an alleged slowdown by the longshoremen on the West Coast, followed by a lockout by the employers. It was the last thing the United States needed at that particular moment. The situation was resolved relatively quickly through mediation with, I thought, great and assured guidance by Secretary Chao and her team, what could have been a very serious blow to the economy and to the country.
The Labor Department should be the center of thinking about how to keep American workers prepared for the jobs that are available, not the jobs of the past, and that was very much the way that Elaine saw her role.
At the same time, she also helped to reform many of the laws that related to kind of overtime for white-collar workers at a time when our economy didn't look like the old rules.
Occupational health and safety, mine safety. She has a record in terms of a decrease in the number of injuries in the workforce and also fatalities. About a 14% decrease in fatalities over the years that she served as Secretary of Labor, and a 21% decrease in the number of illnesses and injuries on the job.
Hurricane Katrina is now designated a Category 5 hurricane. We cannot stress enough the danger this hurricane poses to Gulf Coast communities.
I remember Secretary Chao just absolutely doing everything possible to help. She would go on the air, TV, anywhere she could go to talk about numbers that people can use to dial in, services that her department was giving. She was visiting volunteers, she was shaking hands, she was thanking people. It was as if though she couldn't do enough to help the people of New Orleans. And there you could see her passion and her energy and the way she commits herself to a cause.
Out of that trip came her idea to make sure that the federal programs in Houston got coordinated with local programs, and then we took the lead on coordinating the local nonprofits. And I would say from that trip, Katrina was obviously a tragic time in the country's history, but the response in Houston, locally and federally, I think was a significant success story, and I think Secretary Chao had a lot to do with that.
Thank you. 7 years have passed since I first stood before you at this rostrum. In that time, our country has been tested in ways none of us could have imagined. We face hard decisions about peace and war.
There are long hours and long days, and there's a significant amount of stress in those 8 years, but you stay focused on the job at hand, you stay focused on your dedication to making the United States a better place, and the best public servants are able to do that, and Elaine fits into that category of one of the best public servants I've known.
It's been a great honor for me to know Elaine Chao. I guess the way I would describe Elaine and her life, it's just a great story and a great inspiration.
Well, Elaine Chao has to be viewed as one of the great public servants of our time.